evil priests, blood fetishes, incest, tetchy monks, church sex, murder, and more stereotypical German names than you can shake a schnitzel at. This is the story of Hans Schmidt. Welcome to Enter the Dark. Hello and welcome to Enter the Dark. I am Jan. With me as always is Les. How's it going, Les?
All good, man.
You all right?
All good. Yeah. It's been a while.
Been a while.
It's been a while.
6 months.
6 months.
Glad we found you though.
Yeah. I saw those little videos.
Where you were missing.
Was missing.
Yeah.
Wasn't doing anything nefarious.
We don't know yet because I haven't filmed the last one.
They can't fucking prove anything.
Spoiler alert. Anyway, yes, welcome to Enter the Dark. Yeah, we're back.
We're back.
In POG form. I wish we had.
We say that.
Yeah, in POG form.
Back. In POG form. Remember Elf?
Yeah, Alf. He's back. In POG form. Behold, Steve Wright, inventor of the POG. Yeah, we're back here to talk more shit and to offend more people in the comments than ever before. It's all fun. The algorithm's shit, so you probably only see this if you notice
It's been shit for everybody for a while.
That's the person who died's fault, but I can't blame her because she's dead.
You can.
I mean, I can, but YouTube already hates us. Anyway, so I haven't wrote down the names of the Patreons, so I'm going to do a big jump
Where's your
cut.
book? Where's your fucking book?
6 months out of date, Leslie. So I'm going to do a jump
We've got
cut.
more Patreons.
Probably got less.
Or less.
Probably less. I haven't done anything, have we? But here's a jump cut of me saying them in a funny voice.
Sorry, I forgot to record it, so here is an AI bot doing it for you. Amanda Weaver. Kelly Weaver. Liv Templeton. Elizabeth Lee. Krista Francis. Verena Schmid. Angelina Cheshire. Cookie Fenner. Mandy Madden. Gelada Pang. Becky Louise. Jules Henderson. Casey the Cannibal. Amanda Champagne. And our free members are Nicola Walker. Sloshing B. Lisa O'Neill. Heather Hill. Misty Dawn. Alexander Gutierrez. Melanie. Ayumi Hajime. All hail our machine overlords, and back to you human scum.
Hope you enjoyed that. Right then, so let's get on to it. Hans Schmidt. Now, you know nothing of this until I just did that intro because you didn't know what we were doing, did you?
No, we were talking, before we, came onto this, we were talking about particular Germans.
Yeah, we were. Spoiler alert, Hitler.
That's not even a spoiler. It's I don't think they could infer it.
Yeah, they're not going to be like, oh, you're speaking. What was her name? That supermodel who was German. Claudia Schiffer.
Claudia Schiffer.
Yeah, she was German.
Well, I was just going to say, Luke, say what you want about him.
No.
Albert Speer's architecture was sublime.
And Hugo Boss made nice uniforms. But, still. Anyway, so let's jump into it. Oh, yeah, shit. Sorry, I'm out of practice for this. The Patreon thing, if you do want to, you can go to www.patreon.com/Enter the Dark. Anything to pledge from $1 up to $50, you get free shit. If you want to just hang out and be going free, you can do. We read your name out anyway. It's fun. And also, just to scare somebody while I'm saying this, Keeley Dale. There we go.
Also, we've got t-shirts.
Yes, we've got
t-shirts and merch.
We've got
some of it irreverent. We've got so much merch.
I'll put the merch shop up there. Go to that, please, because he lives in it. We need money. But yeah, so let's get into it. Hans Schmidt. He was born in 1881 in Schemberg, Germany, to the fantastically named Gertrude and Heinrich Schmidt.
We're really getting back on this one.
Fucking Germans. German names are, isn't it? Heinrich Schmidt. If you met someone who was German, you'd want to be called Heinrich Schmidt. You'd be like, that's a good name.
Yeah, be like sound.
So he was the sixth of 10 children, and his father Heinrich worked on the railroad, and Gertrude stayed at home to raise the children. However, it wasn't a very happy home, as Heinrich was gone a lot because of the nature of his work. He was gone so often that he would forget his kids' names and either call Hans a completely wrong name, or he would call him Six, as he was the sixth child out of 10.
Legitimately. That's what he did.
Oh, hello there, Billy. He's like, I am not Billy, father. Oh, shut up, Six. There's Germans get their funny accent.
It's not just Germans, though. There's council estates round here where that properly happens.
Probably, yeah. Well,
That's 100% happens.
No.
Shut up, Six.
Yeah.
Now go to Co-op, get me some fags.
Probably would as well. Anyway, just for our American viewers there, that's cigarettes. It's not a slur YouTube algorithm. Gertrude was left alone to take care of all 10 kids on her own, and Gertrude was not totally happy with this, as you wouldn't be. 10 fucking kids on your own. She would make sure that children were fed and clothed, but everything else, she didn't show much interest in getting to know them or forming relationships with them, because not only was she raising 10 kids, she was also left alone to take care of the farm, mostly by herself because Heinrich was already gone. So
What sort of farm?
It's a normal farm. You know, cows, chicken, sheep.
They have like pigs and stuff because they give birth to like a lot of like fucking litters, don't they? She's got her own fucking litter, and then she's got a litter of pigs.
Yeah, and she's doing all this.
And exactly.
To be fair, she has got 10 kids there. She could get free labour out of.
You know, how old are they? How stupid are they?
I mean,
it's like go look after the kids. It's like what happened. Like,
we'll get into how stupid they are in a minute. Anyway, so she fell into a deep depression and she turned to her religion for some sort of solace. Yeah. So she was a member of the Catholic Church. Of course she was. And she was described as being a religious fanatic, and she was completely retreated into the Bible and the teachings of her church. She would lock herself in the room and just pray for hours and hours and hours while the children were left to fend for themselves, to the point where she started to neglect her 10 children. She was attending church twice a day, morning and evening, and if she wasn't at church, she was locked in a bedroom, so the older children had to pick up the work around the house.
Well, they're go-getters, aren't they? Like,
she says she was praying, but, you know.
Or she was just having a nap. We all do that, though.
Yeah,
don't
just
we?
sort of like, I'm going to put
I'm going to go for a little pray. I'm going to go for a little pray. What like now, after I've asked you to do the dishes?
Yes.
Like, yes. I'm going to go for a little pray.
When have you ever said that?
Never, because I really enjoyed it.
I was just like, I can imagine like Yoko saying to you, can you do the dishes, Les? I'm just going to pray.
That never happens. And I'm always just like, I do that. But like, no, I don't pray. Look at me, for fuck's sake.
You might pray. I don't know.
I might pray.
You know,
but it's like a different sort of praying.
I'm not casting aspersions on you. If you found God, I'd be fine with that.
I mean, I'm just like, don't fucking put this on me. This is her issue.
I'm literally just saying she prays.
Well, she prays, but like, she's going for a fucking break is what she's doing, the poor lady.
Okay. But
I'm just trying to empathise. She's not trying to empathise.
Mate, we'll get to it, but don't
invest too much.
Don't invest too much of your kindness in this woman. So the older kids were practically raising the younger kids, and this really annoyed Heinrich. When he would return home from his work trips, he would fly into a rage at the state of the house and the children, and he'd just beat them all. Just be like, "Where's Mum? Praying? All right."
So like that bit of Lord of the Rings where Sauron's just twatting all them elves.
Essentially, yeah. Just basically, he comes home, he's like, my lovely family who I cannot remember the names of. And he's like, what has happened to the house?
What have you done, number 6?
He's like, well, Muta is upstairs praying and I had to look after these children. And he's just like,
Father, would you like a lick on my peppermint joy?
Like, 9.
So
Hans... Go back to Hans now. He's a very strange child.
Just as we've alienated all our German viewers.
Sorry, you know what you did. Now, Hans, strange, and that's putting it lightly, Les. Right?
Strange.
Now, all of his 9 brothers and his sisters noticed that he was different from a pretty young age, and his behaviour just seemed to get more and more disturbing as he grew up. So he quickly became the only child that Gertrude ever showed any interest in, and that was because Hans became obsessed with religion and his devotion matched his mum's. Now, by the time he was 8, he was 2 locking himself in his room, praying and memorizing scriptures. Now, this is the good bit. He would attend mass with his mum twice a day, and he'd even build an altar into his bedroom and pretend to be a priest. Then Gertrude made him a little priest outfit to wear around the house and the church.
Really?
So he'd like have a little outfit and be there like doing like mass and shit.
Fucking nerd.
So all of his siblings started to call him Father Hans as a joke, but people at the church loved him, started calling him the little chaplain. Not like Charlie. He wasn't funny. Just like
a little tramp.
No.
Like, no.
He's got custom made clothes. He's no fucking tramp, is he?
So tramp. No.
He's
but
like,
also, fucking get a life.
He's 8, Gertrude was proud of the son, though, and would sit at night in Hans' room and listen to him perform mass. So
this can't go wrong in any way, can it? Like,
no.
This can't go wrong.
Right, so I know what you're thinking in your brain now. Why would anyone force themselves to sit through what was essentially child's ad-lib theatre? Right? She truly thought that Hans had a special connection with God because Hans had a birthmark on his left rib, and she believed that it was the mark of God.
What did it look like?
Like a little mark there where the spear went in.
Well, the spear went. I mean, I see that now. Yeah, that's. But like, did it look like a kidney bean, a broad bean?
So probably like a stab wound from a spear.
I mean, it didn't though.
I don't.
Does she even know what a stab wound from a spear looks like?
Don't know.
Especially
why a fucking biography? I don't know.
I don't fucking know. It's
Never
like
met this woman.
It's just like if it looks like a fucking kidney bean, it's like maybe that's just a fucking beauty spot, and I should leave it be.
Well,
but no, she's been a cunt about it.
Anyway, she said it looked like a wound that Jesus got on the cross. So the birthmark, coupled with his extreme interest in religion, convinced Gertrude that his son was truly connected to God in a special way. And these little masses he was given his room, right? They were part of his connection with God, and she'd just sit there, like, taking mass. Like, extra mass for her. Now, this is good for her, isn't it? Because
so she's totally bought into this child's bullshit.
Yeah, she's saying to him, "You're connected with God. You've got this birthmark.
Oh, so
plus you
can enable her.
You do a really good mass." And he's like,
"Give good mass,
good
mass.
It's a bad mass, So anyway, Heinrich was not Catholic. Now he was Protestant.
How did that happen? How did that happen?
Oh, those Germans in the 1800s.
Oh, well, we know. Like, I mean, it's the Germans that came up with the Protestantism, isn't it?
So,
like, fucking that Martin Luther.
Yeah.
Martin Luther.
Anyway,
Lutheranism, prick.
Now, even though he married Gertrude, he didn't like the fact she was Catholic. And he really didn't like the fact that Hans was so deeply involved in the Catholic Church. Now, that's just father protecting his child there. He's like, my 8-year-old son is going to church dressed as a priest and know what's happening here. Now,
that's the first. It's just like, Kitty Finley.
It's like, this is my favourite subject, German accents and nonce priests. It's,
Well, they've got a lot of to answer for when it comes to religion.
This is like
that exorcism. That's the fucking exorcism lady again.
Yeah.
That poor soul.
Go watch that video now.
Yeah.
No, actually, at the end, just watch it.
Wait. Don't be fucking impatient. No. We know you've got ADHD brains. Just fucking cool your jets.
Yeah, we're not doing this in 10 minutes or less. Anyway, Hans knew that if his dad heard him giving mass, like, him and his mum would be beaten. So when Heinrich was there, he's from his work trips, nightly masses would stop and he'd just hide in his bedroom until his dad left. So he'd be like, "Are you okay, Six? Yeah, what are you doing?" "Playing with my schnitzel." "Okay."
Like in The Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah, just sort of like, you're not giving
fucking closet. Don't let the bastards get you down. Like,
you're not doing a mass in there, are you? No.
No.
Of course I'm not. So.
Sermonizing? No.
I can hear somebody giving out bread in there. It's not me.
I'm just reading Barbar the fucking elephant, Dad. For fuck's sake.
Now, once Heinrich was gone, it was right back to church multiple times a day, hours of prayer, nightly masses in his bedroom, dressed as in his little cosplay outfit, which essentially it is, isn't it? He's
It's
cosplaying.
cute, though. It's cute, bless him.
But would you want your child to be dressing up as a priest and giving mass at night? I find that really creepy. It's like something from Children of the fucking Corn.
I just don't find it like dead fucking funny. I'm not gonna lie. I'd just be like, lol, little dickhead.
Right, so it might come to us as a surprise, yeah, despite his priest cosplay and his ability to give a good 8 out of 10 mass, right?
8 out of 10.
He didn't really have many friends apart from his mum. But he did have one friend about the same age, and his name is German. Of course he's called Fritz.
Seriously.
Yeah.
So we've got a Heinrich and we've got a Fritz.
We've got Hans, Heinrich, Gertrude and Fritz. Now, Hans and Fritz started to hang out occasionally, and this is when Hans had his first true identity crisis because he realised that he was sexually attracted to Fritz. Someone dressed as a priest being sexually attracted by a young boy in the Catholic Church. What a preposterous idea there, Leslie.
I mean, to be honest, like that them priest outfits, they have got drip.
Yeah.
Like,
so when the boys were about 7 or 8, yeah, they started experimenting sexually, and every time a sexual encounter would happen, Hans would feel so guilty, he would go to church even more, pray even more, twiddle his little rosary beads even more in an attempt to wash himself of the sin. But for Hans, this would become a constant theme in his life. He would continue to do things that made him feel really guilty, and he'd just go even harder in the religion. I mean, we've all been there. Post-wank. You know, the self-loathing kicks in. Just wipe yourself off and go downstairs. You don't pray.
you know, it's like, yeah, I can see why some people would like post-wank turn to Jesus. I just make a sandwich. Like, maybe I'm a sociopath, but I'm just like, I'm hungry now. And a little bit tired.
Yeah, you know.
Can have a sandwich and can have a nap. And
I feel a bit
my
more
penance.
relaxed now, but, you know, it's our age. It takes it out of you.
I mean, yeah, like it, and it, I don't know, I feel like quite invigorated afterwards, and then I have something to eat, but then the carb crash happens, so it's like, all that invigoration, really, what I think should happen, and...
Eat a sandwich while you're wanking?
No, it's have a wank, go for a walk, then have a sandwich.
Or have a sandwich while you're walking. Then you can
No,
walk
because you might get cramp.
Oh, yeah.
You wouldn't say have a sandwich while you're swimming, would you?
Well, no, because the sandwich
Because
you get
that'd
wet.
be irresponsible.
Sandwich you get wet.
And it'd get wet, yeah.
You can swim like that.
Well, you can't. It's like...
Yeah, you can't. That's
Maybe
impractical.
backstroke, if you're just paddling, like...
You could have a rubber ring on and float.
And just, well, that's the dream, isn't it?
Yeah.
Have a pina colada, fucking sandwich.
That's not swimming, though, is it?
It's not swimming. No.
Anyway.
Well, we weren't talking about swimming. We were
No.
talking about walking. But anyway,
Yeah.
you had something important.
I did. So not long after his first sexual encounter with Fritz, Hans claimed that he heard the voice of God say, "You shall become a priest." And possibly coincidentally, this is also around the time that Hans became completely fascinated by blood.
Blood. Oh, is that where we're going?
Yeah, so he'd watch his mum slaughter various farm animals and start to become excited at the sight of blood, and eventually that excitement turned into full-on sexual arousal.
His mum got excited.
No, he did.
So-
Now, he'd watch Gertrude slaughter a chicken, then he'd walk over and grab the chicken's head and run off and play with it. Now, on one occasion, he obtained the head of a rooster, and it was still bleeding. He put the head of the rooster on the tip of his dick and just walked around with it. So, like a cock condom he had.
I mean, it's a flex.
It's just sort of like, what do you got there? Oh, I have a rooster's head on my penis.
Well, you can do that thing, like, where you pull the nerves. And it's like,
it's
was that
probably
what he
that.
was doing? Like,
Probably.
bum, bum, bum,
It's like
bum,
that, just,
bum,
he's like, hey, watch this, Fritz. Yeah,
caw.
anyway,
When the cock crows.
so,
Caw.
unfortunately, though, Heinrich just happened to be at home when this happened, and if there was one thing he hated more than Catholics, it was Catholics with their dicks inserted inside rooster heads.
I mean, you've got to have standards.
I mean, apart from the beating of his wife and children, No, I've got nothing. Anyway,
Got nothing.
Got nothing.
Got nothing.
When-
It's like that was setting up something quite funny there.
I was, and then I'm like, I can't
It's
make
gone.
excuses.
It's
for
gone.
that.
It can't make
So
excuses.
anyway, when he caught Hans with a bloody head of a rooster on his knob, and he was horrified and beat the ever-loving shit out of him. If only Heinrich was as understanding as Eugene Levy in American Pie. Just like, we'll tell your mum that we ate the chicken and we lost the head. On another occasion, Hans injured himself and there was lots of blood. So one of his older sisters, Elizabeth, rubbish name for a German, she should.
I love it. Shit name.
It is a shit name for a German, Elizabeth.
It's like, what is fucking Brunhilde? Is
Yeah.
that what you fucking wanted?
Well, we've got Gertrude.
Elizabeth.
So like,
It's like, we've got Gertrude. It's like, what we're following that up with? Elizabeth. It's like, why aren't you fucking Brunhilde?
yeah, you know,
Fucking kraut.
Petra or something, anything. Anyway, she saw this happen and brought him inside so she could clean up the wound. Now, while she was cleaning the wound, she could see that he had an erection. The sight of his own blood was giving him an erection. I think she just ran off there. There was no sort of...
Had the chicken head got, like the rooster head gone?
No, this is when he hurt himself, cut his leg, and she's like, oh, let me treat this wound, and he's just there with a massive hard on.
Just getting massive arousal.
Oh, yeah, he loved blood. Anyway, so in 1891, when he was 10, Gertrude went out and brought some geese. Now, the geese were going to be used on the farm for breeding purposes, not with Hans, but with each other. And also Gertrude wanted to use their feathers for quilts and pillows and all that shit.
Do you know as well, they keep foxes away?
They do, because...
Yeah, like they really fuck with like foxes. It's always good to have a goose like your chickens. They're actually better than like fucking guard dogs. Anyway,
so they were being kept inside of a little garden shed, right? And every day she'd go out and take care of them. One morning she went out to check on the geese and 2 of the 3 geese were missing. You can't breed on your own. So she started looking around the shed to see if they'd escaped somehow, but there was no way you can't.
sorry, it's just like you said that in a really Home Alone, like sort of
Can't
Macaulay
breed on your own.
Culkin way, and it really...
She wants to use them for breeding. She's only got 1 goose.
They've only got 1 goose. They can't
That's
breed
not a
on their own.
gander, is it?
No, it's like what's good for the goose is good for the gander, but there's no goose.
That's not a gaggle.
That's not a gaggle of gooses.
Geese.
Anyway,
she started looking around the shed, go like, oh, how the fuck did he get out? But she can't see anything. So she come to the conclusion someone must have let them out on purpose or they were stolen. Now, she questioned all 10 kids about it, but no one knew anything. But later that afternoon, Heinrich was outside and he was just like patching some fencing, and he saw a kid emerge from nearby woods. And he realised that that kid was Hans. And he's like, what's 6 doing over there? So he shouted out to him. He's like, Hans, not 6 or whatever your name is. But Hans was like, oh, shit, it's my father. And he jumped and dropped something and just ran off. So Heinrich, was used to Hans being fucking dead weird. So he just carried on with his chores and that. And after he finished, he went over and goes, let's see what this fucking knobhead's dropped. And he realised that Hans had dropped the bloody head of one of the missing geese. Now, Heinrich could see that the trail of blood was leading the goose head in the woods like Scooby-Doo.
like Scooby-Doo.
Follow that back. So he decided to follow the trail and it led him to a brook that ran through the woods, and lying right there at the edge of the brook were 2 decapitated geese.
So there wasn't like a Hans with the fucking goose head on. And he's like,
If he had the goose head on, it wouldn't be on his head, would it? It'd be on a head.
A head.
Not that head.
His throbbing womb ferret.
Yeah, so obviously Heinrich's freaked out here, and he immediately rushed home and told Gertrude that he'd found the missing geese. They were decapitated, and it was her little priest Hans who'd done it. And Gertrude was like trying to protect him because she loved him, the only one she did. She said, well, we would have eaten those geese eventually anyway, so it's no big deal. He's like, he's probably fucked him. It's no big deal. So the rest of the family are dead disturbed, and none of them could look at him ever the same again. And when Hans was asked why he'd done this, he just went, it's the most spooky thing for a German to say, I just like blood. Fucking 10-year-old kid says that to you in a German accent. It's fucking... So he started hanging outside the local slaughterhouse, and he would just sit and watch animals being cut up and become sexually aroused by the blood. And he invited Fritz to go with him to the slaughterhouse. So apparently Fritz, he liked the sight of blood as well, because they would just sit there, watch animals being slaughtered, and then they would become sexually aroused, and they'd perform perform sex acts on each other. Hans and Fritz continued this meetups for the next few years, and they continued to watch blood and then do the deed. But Fritz was not only Hans's only sexual partner.
Was he not?
No.
The dirty little bastard.
Hans was also experimenting with his older brother, Carl. Shit German name.
Carl with a K.
No, with a C.
That's fucking shit, isn't it?
They did so well with the German name.
Why?
I mean, what you got to think of here is they've got 10 kids. There's only so many German sounding names. If I had 10 kids, I'd run out of names.
Where are the Felixes?
Felixes or Adolfs.
Adolfs or
Heinrich.
We got a Heinrich. We got a Heinrich. What other German names?
Joseph. I'm just going through Nazis in my head here.
Joseph.
So we had
Helmut.
Ooh, nice.
Helmut.
Helmut.
But yeah, just Carl shit.
Jaeger. No, that's more a surname, isn't it? Jaeger.
I thought it was a drink.
Yeah, Jaegermeister. It's Hunter, isn't it? Jaeger.
I know.
I don't know. Fucking don't look at me.
Don't make shit up then.
I'm not making shit up. Like Jaeger's a thing. German people.
No,
I know we're offending you, but
no, I'm on about
sunburns.
Jägermeister. It means hunter, does it? I don't.
Well, yeah, that's why there's a fucking deer on the thing. Jägermeister means hunter. They're fucking killing deer and shit.
Yeah, hobgoblin. It's got a fucking goblin on it, but it's not made of goblins, is it?
Well, no, but it's made in the Witchwood Forest. That's where there was supposed to be a hobgoblin. It's local folklore. Don't be a fucking peasant.
Anyway,
about this.
So, over the years, the family just find random body parts of various animals all over the farm and in the cellar. Now, they knew it was Hans, and he was a sick little puppy, and he was also trying to keep up the reputation of a very devout kid who was destined to become a priest. So when he turned 14, his mother enrolled him into a private Catholic school where he excelled academically.
Oh, nice.
Now, he learned to speak Latin fluently, and he also learned to play the violin. And Hans's teachers have said that he was extremely intelligent, and he could pick up on things very quickly, but he was still very much an outsider. He didn't really make any friends, and all the other kids thought he was really strange and, they were fucking right. Now, they would see him wandering around at night, walking aimlessly, and then he would stop and stare off into space. He was also found on multiple occasions naked in the freezing cold bath playing his violin. Let him do what he wants. He's not there. Anyway, despite all of this fuckery, he did go on to graduate, and when he was 19, he was admitted to the St. Augustine Seminary, where he spent the next 4 years. Now, the same things occurred again here. He was excelling at his studies, and he was still not making any friends and was still struggling with his sexuality and his obsession with blood. In 1904, Hans, who was 23 at this point, moved to the University of Munich to finish his studies. Now, at this point, he's 23, and it's the first time he's had any real freedom. So how did he take advantage of this new freedom, Les? He would complete his studies during the day, and at night he would take his violin and go to various taverns and play for some extra money, like a really shit bard.
And then get a fucking chicken.
Yeah. Well, he said he didn't keep any of the money, and he gave it all the way to people in need.
Fucking virtue signaling.
Yeah, I don't think he did, though, because you'll find out. So, around the time, he also started forging graduation documents for students who were failing classes. Now, he made a name for himself around campus as the go-to guy if you needed a phony graduation document. But eventually, the university found out about it and his little operation, and he was arrested for forgery. Now, Heinrich hired Hans a lawyer, though, and together they decided to submit an insanity plea.
What, for something as minor as that?
Now, so for this to work, they need character witnesses to come forward with information to back it up. And it was dead fucking easy because everyone knew he was batshit crazy. So family members, former teachers, students all come forward like, yeah, he's fucking proper mental, this lad. And it worked. So it was determined that he would be sent to a cold water sanitarium in Jordanbad, where cold water therapy was used as part of the program. So literally just junk them in there. The patients were supposed to immerse themselves into cold water baths every day, and it was meant to heal their body and mind.
It doesn't, does it?
But he
Is that like, that's
he
a really
liked cold
shit,
baths, though.
is that like a really shit version of electrolysis where they used to like fucking put it on your temples?
Yeah, now they're just
like, well, we've not got electric here because we're like fucking dark age Germany.
Yeah,
in
so-
the 1800s.
So let's just, fucking...
Like, get in the ice, you prick.
Anyway, so he ended up staying in this facility for about a month, and then he was sent to live with monks at a monastery in Miltenberg. Now, he was supposed to go to the monastery and repent for what he'd done and discuss his sins with the monks. But the monks at the monastery all hated him. No, literally, they couldn't wait to get fucking rid of him. He would just argue with them over everything, especially when it came to scripture and church matters. The monks later said that even something as simple as reciting a prayer was too much for Hans. He would start out reciting the prayer and then go off on a tangent about anything.
Just go like off on a like, actually, this bit here, it's just like
again. So
everything in like fucking brackets.
Yeah.
Like,
so eventually, these monks contacted the University of Munich and were like, "This guy's as annoying as fuck, and we're monks. We like everyone."
And they're pretty chill. I was going to say,
you know what I mean?
like,
Get him the fuck away from us before we go all fry a tuck on him.
fry it up.
Thoughts? Yeah, voice down.
He did get out of their quarter staves and just start nailing the prick.
So you never know. They might be like, "Look, when they were all monks, yeah." But every monk knew was fucking Shaolin shit. So the University of Munich agreed to let Hans return and finish his studies, and he graduated in December of 1906. And now he was ordained into the priesthood the way you would expect God's special boy to be. The night before the bishop ordained him, Hans told the story that he was set to be ordained, and then he'd been praying at his bedside when Saint Elizabeth herself appeared before him and said, "I ordain you into the priesthood." So,
Who's Saint Elizabeth? Like, which one of them? It's not like a fucking good saint. It's not
probably
like Bridget or like fucking
Mary.
You'd
expect Mary, but no, Saint Elizabeth.
Expect Mary, but who the fuck's this celebrity? Like,
she's probably like this patron saint of fucking monocles or something like that. Anyway, so he was officially a priest, and he was assigned to various parishes and small farming villages around Germany. And every time he was given a new assignment, it was the same story. Hans would arrive at the church, he would make everyone uncomfortable, he would make a really bad impression, he would stay for less than a year, and then he was given a new assignment. Just like the priests who abused kids.
He sounds like that priest from Wales who like used to cut like people's dicks off. You ever heard of him? Yeah. Not living people, but like fucking. It's I'd so like if they made a film of that, I'd cast Rob Brydon as that priest.
Anyway, speaking of abusing kids, right? During this time, he started to target young boys in the congregation.
Of course he does.
He would befriend the altar boys and invite them to do things like go on walks with him. He even admitted that he really wanted to molest these altar boys, but he claimed he never did and most people believed that he did. If you've got a Catholic priest saying, "I really want to molest these kids, but I'm not going to," don't believe him. They've got form. Anyway.
It's not just them, though. Protestants have got form for this as well.
Yeah, no, but I just like making fun of the Catholics.
Please.
It's just original sin.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But, like, their shit is way more natty than the Protestant shit.
Yeah.
Am I right? It is, though.
Are you ready for this? He also had a habit of masturbating in the confessional while the members of the church were confessing their sins. But
that's understandable.
I'm pretty sure he's not the only priest who's done that.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. If I was a Catholic priest and in the confessional, there's going to be a couple of times.
If you've got like a woman coming in telling you about like all these sexual things that she's done, you're a priest. She can only see your face through those little dots.
I mean, I'd like to think you'd be able to exercise some form of control.
It's either that or kids. Essentially.
I don't think that's the extreme.
No, it is. This is why you should not sexually repress people in religion. You shouldn't say you cannot have sex. No, because it sends them into these fucking things where they're wanking off into fucking things and then trying to molest kids.
I mean,
don't do it.
I just think it's more like the danger box. Like it's the danger box thing. It's it's just like being in an enclosed space at work. Come on.
Never getting in the disabled toilet after you again. So he was also spotted picking up prostitutes around towns he was placed near to, in his own words, cure him of his homosexual desires. It doesn't work like that.
No.
But his cunning plan revealed its flaws when people started to think, hang on, priests don't have sex, especially with women of age. So when it all became too much for the church to cover up, they'd just move him on to the next parish where it had happened all over again. This is where they got it from in Boston, where they just moved him around. Hey, on one occasion, Hans broke down and confessed to the other priest that he was having sexual desires towards young boys in the church, to which I can only imagine they were like, you're a Catholic priest. He was also stealing donation money from the church. So, despite...
Jesus Christ, this guy.
Yeah. So despite all this child abuse and confession wanks, the straw that broke the camel's back was that he used the wrong fingers during communion. Not like that. Not like
that.
I said 3 fingers, give you 2. No, I shit you not, right? There's a certain way to hold wafers, and he was doing it wrong.
No, but there is, because it's just...
So instead of using his thumb and index finger like that, he used his thumb and middle finger. So... recap here. Banging prostitutes, wanking in confession, telling people he wants to touch boys and stealing money, that's fine. Holding a wafer wrong is bad.
Well, it's utter apostasy.
So the bishop told him he couldn't send him anywhere else because word of his finger faux pas had spread, so he could either stop being a priest or just leave the country. So in 1909, at the age of 28, Hans packed up and made the move to America where nobody knew of his fingering transgressions. When he first arrived in America, he moved around a bit until he landed in Louisville, Kentucky, where he attended St. John's Catholic Church in hopes of getting a priest position. He stayed there for quite a while, but he never ended up getting a spot as a priest at that church, so he left by 1910 and made his way to New York, and he landed a position as a priest at St. Boniface Church.
It's mad to me that this is all before the fucking, Great War.
So... another priest at this church, Father Brown.
Brown. That's a very German name, yeah.
He was a little wary of Hans, describing him as a Jekyll and Hyde character that looked dead in the eyes. Sounds more than a little wary. But this didn't stop Hans from picking up where he left off, hanging out with the altar boys, sleeping with prostitutes, as well as adding a few more strings to his bow. Now, he secretly posed as a doctor and would perform back-alley abortions on women even though he had no training or qualifications.
Well, that fucking escalated. Where has he added that to his, fucking personal repertoire?
He likes blood.
Likes blood?
Yeah.
So
around this time, he met up with his cousin, Dr. Ernest Murritt. But don't be fooled by the docs that he's got. He's still the Ernest from the block. That's right. Dr. Murritt was not actually qualified. He had forged his certificates, just like Hans had done at university. Ernest travelled to England when he was practising medicine before being found out, and while he was awaiting trial, he fled to America and met up with Hans, and they decided to go into business together, running a counterfeiting operation. They also started having a secret sexual relationship, which chalks up another incest mark in the column. I hope you can't keep in count. There's his brother, now his cousin. I mean, cousins, certain states in America. It's like The Simpsons, isn't it? Like, why do you want to sleep with your cousins? Because they're so damn attractive.
It's still incest. Quote Partridge. It's still incest.
So, another recap for you. Hans is a priest by day and on the side produces counterfeit documents with his doctor cousin, who isn't a doctor but is his cousin, who's sleeping with, as well as sleeping with prostitutes to cure him of homosexuality while fantasizing about altar boys and performing back-alley abortions.
But also doing...
Say what you want, you got to admire his work ethic. Bloke never sleeps.
I'm just having to do a lot of fucking mental gymnastics for this guy.
Yeah.
I feel like I should be in the Olympics.
Now then, while working at the church, he met a 20-year-old German woman named Anna Aumüller. And she'd moved to America trying to make it in show business as she was beautiful and a gifted musician. To get by, she took a housekeeping job at church and Hans began to strike up a friendship with her. They would walk around the church together speaking German, making Anna feel a little bit more at home. But soon Hans began to be weird and began flirting with her. Now, I say flirting, he straight up just said, "Let's have sex," which, coming from a priest, caught her off guard and she rejected his advances. However, not to be put off, he pulled his trump card and told her that God had spoken to him about it and him and Anna were meant to be together, but it's got to be a secret. So she's not going to doubt God, is she? So she entered into a relationship with Hans. They would meet up in secret and have sex. Now, they went to places around the church to have sex. They'd meet up in his room at night for sex. They'd meet up in the park to have sex. They'd even defile the sanctuary of the church and would have sex on the altar. Just there, Jesus looking down like, fucking hell, I died for these sins. Now, after a while, though, Anna didn't feel comfortable with sneaking around and she wanted to settle down with Hans and start a family. So Hans would tell her that he'd planned to leave the priesthood so they could finally be married and they could make a relationship public. But in 1912, Hans decided to move churches to St. Joseph's Church, which was only about 7 miles away, and Anna followed. But this is when the relationship turned deadly.
Oh, okay.
So
here we go then.
One night, Hans and Hannah were having sex on the altar, and Hans claims he heard the voice of God say, "Anna, she needs to be sacrificed." So he didn't sacrifice her right then and there, but a few days later, he told her what God had told him to do. And she just was like, "Hans, you and your crazy stories. Let's keep seeing each other." I mean, if someone you know is a bit crazy says, "Oh yeah, when we were having sex in the church, God told me to sacrifice her," you'd be like, "Oh, sweet. Yeah, see you later." But in February of 1913, Anna, she wore him down like all women do, and they got married in a secret ceremony. Hans himself was the one who officiated the wedding, and we can only hope he used different voices for the priest and the groom. So he was like, "Do you take this woman to be your lawful wedded wife?" "Yeah." "Do you haven't to?" That'd just be ace, wouldn't it? Oh, if you had sock puppets.
Oh, no.
That'd be ace. German sock puppets. That'd be great. Anyway, this wasn't a legal marriage, surprisingly, but it satisfied Anna because I think she was a bit dim. And they moved into an apartment together.
A little bit simple.
Right. So, remember, he's getting married to her. They're moving in together. He's still running a counterfeit operation with his cousin. And
that's got to be like a fucking massive red flag.
Who he's having sex with, as well as sleeping with prostitutes and fantasizing about young altar boys and doing abortions. This all came to a head, though, when Anna announced that she was pregnant, and this was the final straw for Hans. He was stretched thin enough as he was, but adding a baby to the mix would just overly complicate life, wouldn't it?
I mean, why not? Like, if you're in for a penny, you're in for a pound.
Yeah.
What the fuck is this human being doing? Jesus.
On the night of September the 1st, 1913, Hans went down to the sanctuary at St. Joseph's Church and he prayed, then went to a nearby shop and purchased a butcher's knife and a saw. Heading back to the apartment, he crept into the bedroom where Anna was sleeping, grabbed her while brandishing the knife and told her he was going to carry out God's will and sacrifice her. Before she could fight back or try to get away, he slit her throat, and Hans, being Hans, got sexually excited at the sight of Anna's blood. Then he took off his and Anna's clothes and he sexually assaulted the dead body. After drinking some of her blood, he then moved the body to the bathtub and cut her into several pieces using the saw. Now, he then went out and brought some butcher paper and collected some stones and went back to the apartment and wrapped up Anna's body parts. Put all of the body parts inside pillowcases, bedsheets and anything he could find and loaded them with rocks and stones. He took the packages one by one and boarded a ferry. When he was in the middle of the Hudson River and no one was looking, he would throw the packages over the side. After multiple trips throughout the night, he returned to the apartment to clean up the crime scene. But when the sun was rising, he knew he had to go to church to do a mass. So after a night of brutal killing and multiple ferry trips, he stood in front of his congregation and performed a mass. Now, for a few days, everything was quiet and Hans was thinking, my murder's gone unnoticed. But then body parts started to appear along the Hudson River. Police quickly realised that they all belonged to the same person and that one part had been wrapped in a high-quality custom-made linen pillowcase embroidered with the letter A. Now, the police knew these were special items and quickly tracked down the shop where it was made. Shop owner confirmed that he'd sold the item, checked his records and gave them the customer's address. When the police arrived at the apartment, there was no answer, so they went to talk to the landlord. He confirmed that a newly married couple rented the apartment named Anna and Hans. After being told that they had suspicions that Anna may have been killed, he let the police into the apartment and they faced with a bloody scene. Now, while Hans had tried to clean up, he'd not done a very good job. Blood was all over the walls and floors, and he'd even left out all the cleaning supplies he was using, so he's just left them out in a little... Now, they quickly found the murder weapon in the saw used for the dismemberment, and they also found letters between Hans and Anna talking about their relationship and mentioning St. Joseph's Church. So they set off for the church and met Father Quinn, who brought Hans into his office to be questioned. Hans denied any knowledge of the murder, but after an hour of questioning, he broke down and said, "I killed her, and I killed her because I loved her." After a full confession, he was taken into custody and charged with first-degree murder. Now, in court, his lawyers entered a plea of not guilty by reason of insanity and told a tale of all his weird behaviour and the fact that 60 people in his family suffer from mental health conditions. They brought up the fact that Hans heard voices and suffered from delusions, therefore could not be responsible for the murder. The prosecution, though, were not standing for this bullshit, and they tried to cover up the murder and taken out life insurance on our Anna without her knowledge, and he was the sole beneficiary. However, the trial ended in a hung jury, 10-2, as they couldn't say if he was insane or not. The second trial started, and Judge Vernon Davies had this to say to the jurors before they retired to deliberate. Now, remember, judges, they're there to law. Justice is blind, the swift hand, the scales, and all that shit.
Mm-hmm.
He said to him, if you are... Oh, no, he's New York, isn't he? He said... He's like, yo, if you're satisfied that the defendant purchased the knife and the saw and he cut up the body, thinking of using them as he did, and if you were satisfied that the middle of the night he went up to the flat, he took off his coat and he cut her throat, and then he cut up the body, what conclusion do you come to? Oh, use your common sense, you fucking bum. Your experience with men. Bear in mind, it isn't every thought of mental unsoundness that excuses a crime, you fucking mook. So, when they returned, Hans was found guilty, surprisingly, of first-degree murder.
Of course.
And he was sentenced to death by electric chair. Now, Hans Schmidt was sent to Sing Sing prison to await his execution. He was executed by electric chair on February the 18th, 1916, and he's gone down in history as that one and only priest in American history to be sentenced to death. Now, relentless media attention pulled details of Schmidt's troubling history out of the woodwork as reporters looked for new angles to cover. Indeed, a trail of previously unsolved crimes seemed to follow Schmidt around everywhere he went, yet public trust in church leaders had kept him from facing any real consequences. For one, investigators found a second apartment belonging to Schmidt. Inside he had a printing press that churns out $10 bills, equivalent to $240 in today's money.
Jesus Christ.
So, like, $10 then was $240.
Yeah.
Along with counterfeit money, he was working on a plan to partner with a Manhattan dentist to commit a string of murders and make off with life insurance claims. Now, in Louisville, the body of a 9-year-old girl was found in the basement of St. John's Parish, Schmidt's first place of employment. Now, the girl had gone missing when Schmidt was in Louisville, but a local janitor had been charged with the crime. Now, her body was found dismembered in a way that was eerily similar to how Omeller's body was dismembered. And thus ends the ballad of Hans Schmidt.
He sounds like a fucking Batman villain. Like, it's ridiculous.
Fucking the nonce. He'd be the fucking diddler, wouldn't he? They're diddling those kids.
The priest?
Nah, the diddler.
The diddler.
But yeah, that went weird and sideways, didn't it?
It's just like, there was a lot of preamble like to that, and then it's all of a sudden like fucking boof.
Yeah, there you go. That's Hans. But there you go. what are they called? Accents. The funny accents are back.
The
We're in
funny
here with
accents are-
priests dismembering people doing back alley abortions and fingering wafers wrong.
And the
Properly.
New York, the New York.
Fucking New York.
the fucking New York, man. Let's gonna kill the zone.
Fucking working here. But yeah, let us know what you think. Please always remember, do that like, share, subscribe bollocks, because that's what we have to do, and we have to beg you to do it now because nobody likes us. Well, you do, but the algorithm won't show us to new people because we're not Mr. Beast or Bailey Sarian and we don't make him money. So
Always with the Bailey Sarian. I think she's like suffering as well, man.
she's not suffering. The only thing she's suffering
Well,
from.
maybe you should give me like a fucking manicure on the fucking thing.
I said you do your
And-
makeup while I'm doing this, and you refused.
What sort of makeup?
Just
What do you
fucking
want me to fucking
plaster
do?
it on like
Gene
she
fucking
does.
Simmons?
No, just plaster it on like she does. Just sit there putting lipstick
Yeah,
on.
I'm going to sit there doing like
Come
this.
out looking all pale.
Come
And then
out
at the end of it,
pale, and then
looking
just
like a-
paint it on it. It's
Yeah, and
just
then
this is my fucking mayhem look.
Yeah, and then just look like a true crime Kardashian after. It'd be fine.
I'll be fine.
We'll,
yeah.
we'll film another.
Maybe I just want somebody to look after my fucking nails. But nobody cares.
All them fucking blood clots underneath them. Anyway,
There's no
so
blood clots.
if you
They're
do-
very... Oh, you
if
bit.
you do like if you do like what we do and you do want to support us, you can do by going to www.patreon.com/enter the dark. You can pledge anything from $1 up to $50. You do get free stickers, t-shirts, mugs, loads of shit. You can support us by buying some of our merch. We've got really disgusting Ed Kemper fucking his mum's head t-shirts.
Yeah, you made that.
Yeah, I made that. Well, I coloured it in from a colouring book. So
It's very well coloured.
thank you. I had to scan it in and then colour it in. But yeah, we've got that. You can get in touch with us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, now X, even though it is a hub of fucking Nazis and Elon Musk wanking off Donald Trump.
It's a bit of a fucking like.
It's a
no, it's a cesspool, but it's.
I just go on there and all I get is all this shit, and then people shitting on AEW, people shitting on WWE. I'm like, just enjoy wrestling.
Just enjoy it.
Just enjoy wrestling. But yeah, you can email us on enterthedarkpodcast@gmail.com. But yeah, just spread the word, and I hope you enjoyed that. So I've been Jan, he's been Les. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye bye.